So I did it. I finally finished the book. And I've been sitting here for 10 minutes trying to figure out what to say. Jumping back over to A Court of Thorns and Roses, now that I've sat on this book and reflected a bit more and watched some videos and got to experience all the social media stuff, I have some feelings about it. First, I want to shout out TheCookieRhino on YouTube. They made an amazing animated summary of this book, so I highly suggest go watch that, but I wouldn't watch it if you haven't read the next one because I kind of got spoiled a little bit. The tone in that video has some negative tones toward Tamlin and has a lot more positive tones towards Rhysand, so it kind of clued me in that Rhysand was going to end up being who Feyre is in love with. So even though I know that it's kind of made my opinions about both books or going forward from here a little bit different. Alrighty, we're finally starting the second book in the series. I am definitely very excited for this, as I've been told the series only gets better after the first book, so I was very, very excited to jump in, which I did. I did already. I am already 80 pages in, so this is a huge book, so not very far, but I could not put this down yesterday. I guess I was just excited to read and I just didn't want to stop reading, but I forced myself to stop because I wanted to make a proper intro to this reading vlog. So this book starts off with Feyre and Tamlin living in the manor, and they are going about their daily life, and Feyre, you can tell, is just going with the flow. She's still learning how to adjust to the new body because now she is one of the High Fae, and she is trying to help Tamlin and help everyone rebuild their court after they were finally let out under the mountain. I'm not sure if it's because I was spoiled about Tamlin and Feyre not going to be together and that we know that Feyre and Rhysand are going to end up together, that it's making me look at things differently. But I feel like the tone of the book with Tamlin and Feyre just feels weird. Like they just feel off. It doesn't feel very lovey-dovey. So I don't know if I'm reading into that because I know what's going to happen, or if he's actually just being weird and kind of, it feels like he's holding Feyre back. Like he's putting her in, dresses and not letting her out of the manor and not wanting her to go anywhere, and maybe you can look at that as him caring about her and not wanting anything bad to happen to her again, or if he's trying to shelter her because he doesn't believe she's an asset to their court. So I'm not sure if I'm looking into that or if that's actually kind of given the vibe. I also wanted to point out that they had a sex scene and it wasn't super extensive, but I was cringing. And I don't know if that's because it was actually weird, or again, if I just know that they're not going to be together, so I'm not rooting for them anymore. Not sure, but it was awkward to read that. The next thing that happens in the book is Tamlin and Feyre are planning their wedding. So they are doing all this wedding planning, and the day comes for their wedding. And Feyre walks down the aisle and she is getting cold feet. She gets up to the altar and is screaming in her head like, no, this isn't right. Like, I don't know that I'm ready. Not sure why she's feeling this way. And she's just really confused. And of course, Rhysand shows up. So it's been about 3 months since they escaped from under the mountain. And as reminder from the first book, she has to go spend a week of every month with Rhysand based on their bargain that they made under the mountain when Rhysand saved Feyre's life because she was dying. He made her bargain for a week of her life. So it has been 3 months since that date, and Reason has been nowhere to be found. He hasn't said anything about it, and everyone was just pretending that it just doesn't exist. But he shows up at the wedding and crashes it. Reason, he shows up, he's like, I'm cashing in my bargain. Let's go, Feyre. We're going to the night court or something, or his court. And Tamlin is like, no, you can't have her. And Reason's like, that's not how this works. You're not even involved in this bargain. You have no say. The next few chapters, we get to spend the week with Feyre and Reason, spend their time in his home where he kind of shows her around, and they kind of have this banter back and forth, which is really cute, knowing that they're gonna be together. So I'm totally shipping it. And he decides that he wants to educate her on stuff. So he is educating her how to read. We know from the first book she can't read, she's illiterate, and he wants her to learn so she doesn't get held back by that in the future. Looking back, thinking about this now, she's been there for 3 months, and you're telling me that Tamlin hasn't taken his time to teach her how to read? Like, why is he not helping her be better? And now she's not even 2 days into the week with Reason, and he's taking the time to teach her reading. He's teaching her he's getting her writing better, and he's teaching her how to shield. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this about the first one, but Reason can control minds, or he can read minds, or something along that line, something with mind control. He can read a lot of Feyre's thoughts and anyone's thoughts that don't have a shield up to protect them. So he is teaching Feyre how to build a wall and shield herself so he can't read her thoughts. And seeming like he's not really such a bad guy when he's teaching her how to like protect herself against someone like him. And that goes a long way. Also, something that irks me with Tamlin is Feyre talks about how she's like throwing up every night. She's just sick, and Tamlin is just fast asleep. Doesn't hear a single bit of that. Like, red flag. Red flag. Anyways, back to the week that she is in the night court. We also meet Reason's cousin, Moore. And I love her character. I love Reason's character. I love seeing both of their personalities in their own home where they can thrive and they're not, under the curse from the first book. So that's really good. And I'm not usually an enemies to lovers trope kind of girly, but it's working here. I'm down. I like the banter that they have. They're constantly going back and forth, yelling at each other, saying they don't like each other, and it's quite fun to listen to. I am listening to this on audiobook as it's super long. Also, another point that came up during the week with Reason is Reason actually shares a lot of the politics side of what's going on within all the courts. So tension is brewing, and a war is possibly gonna start, and Reason is educating Feyre on the possibilities of this happening. And Feyre is like, I didn't know any of this. Tamlin doesn't tell me anything. And red flags all around for Tamlin, okay? So why has he not shared any of that information with her? If he's gonna be husband and wife with her, why is he not sharing important information like that? I don't know. But I'm 81 pages in. I finished off right when Reason dropped Feyre off back at the Spring Court. So we'll see what Tamlin has to say for himself. At the end of chapter 8, after the fight with Tamlin and Lucien there, like, Feyre accidentally gets into or reads Lucien's mind. She's definitely gonna be super powerful. I can tell now that feels like she's gonna get out of this situation with Tamlin, that she's getting held back by him, and she's gonna like start training with Reason because Tamlin doesn't want to train her. So this is gonna be exciting, and she's gonna get really powerful and hopefully kick Tamlin in the butt. It's been a little while, my bad, but I've gotten 30% of the way through, and a lot's happened since we last spoke. So, wow. I was at a point when I was thinking about DNFing this book. The Tamlin Feyre situation, her just being depressed and just having to stay in the manor, and Tamlin not supporting her or treating her right, was just getting, it needed to end. Thankfully, it did end. Sorry about this light. I don't know what's going on with it, so ignore that. But yeah, so she left Tamlin finally. Thank God she did that, and she did go to the Night Court, and we kind of got an info dump. We got introduced to a lot of different characters. We did see Moore, which is Reason's sister, which I do really like her, and we also met Azriel, Emryn, and Cassian? Yeah, Cassian. So the inner circle of Reason's court. And that was very interesting. It was fun to see them. I definitely think Moore and Azriel are together. I really like them. I like them way better than I like Feyre. It's weird because I've never disliked the main character before. In this book, I kind of don't like her. Like, I'm hoping that, like, she's just very depressed and Tamlin was really holding her back, and now that she's going to get training with Reasoned and his squad, that she's going to get a lot smarter, make better decisions, she's going to train and get more powerful and kind of, I don't know, come into her own. But we'll see. I also realized, so when we're meeting the inner circle of Reason's group, they were all telling just backstory. We were getting a lot of different information about their different lives and different powers that the fairies have. And the kind of fairy that Reasoned is a Illyrian, something like that. And it was talking about Reason's mom and dad having this soulmate bond, that they saw each other and got that instant soulmate attraction. And at the end of A Court of Thorns and Roses, when Reason is saying bye to Feyre at the end of that book, he says that he sees something in her, or she says, he looks at me a certain way, but I don't know why. And I just knew that was going to be important. I knew I didn't know why yet, but that is totally Reason seeing the soulmate bond with Feyre. Hi friends, it's a new day, and this book is dragging. It is dragging on, and I got through the part where they go to the summer court and she's trying to find the book, and then they find the book, and then they almost drown, but they get it, and they get caught though, so the summer court knows that they took the book. And caffeine. And the only thing keeping me interested in this book is that I know that there's the romance coming. My friend told me that chapter 55 is where it's at, and I'm currently on chapter 39, and holy cow, we're 375 pages in, plus the first book where they are not together yet. And I get it, slow burn, enemies to lovers, you know, it might feel too quick if they get together too quickly after the first book. I get it. But give me some flirting, give me some flirtatious something. I need something to keep me going in this book, because right now it just feels like it's really dragging on and I kind of just want to be done with it. Okay, I've only gotten a couple chapters in since last time I talked to you, and they just went to the night court and stole the orb thing, the truth orb, which I don't get, because if Reason is the High Lord of the Night Court, why did he need to steal it and take it? Couldn't he just get it? It's his court. I don't get that. That wasn't really explained, so maybe I'm just thinking too much into it, but whatever. Maybe it'll be answered later. But they had to, Reason and Fabra had to act all flirty with each other, so that was to die for. Finally, I've been tabbing up the like spots where they flirt, which is really the only thing keeping me going at this point. The plot of like the war coming and stuff is interesting, and I'm excited to see Feyre like fight and use her powers, and like obviously they're doing it for a good reason, but I don't know, like I guess I'm just not interested as much in that as their love story, so maybe I need to go read a romance and come back to this after I get my like romance fix. But anyways, it was very cute, them flirting with each other and being all touchy, and I was like, oh, this is the moment. This is the moment. They're gonna tell each other they have feelings for each other. No, they don't. They get into a fight, and then Reason storms off, which, I mean, for good reason. Feyre kind of like threw some harsh jabs at him, so that wasn't really fair of her. But now they're fighting and not talking. And gosh, I hate when mom and dad fight. I just want them to be together. But I'm at chapter 44, and I'm getting ever so close to that chapter 55 that I know is coming up, so oh my god. We're getting some good training montages and scenes, and we got the backstory about, so Reason was the one who killed Tamlin's family, and Tamlin was the one to kill Reason's family, and I did not expect that. I did not see that coming, and they're out there training the next time, and the Spring Court Sentinels come and surround Feyre and Rhysand. Oh my god, and Lucien is one of them. I did not see this coming. What is gonna happen? You guys, where to even start? Oh my god. So we said, or you know, we got to the part where Lucien showed up and tried to take Feyre. He tried to jump at her and winnow away, which is so rude of him. I thought Lucien was better than that. And I love that scene because Feyre, like, she stood up for herself, and she like let him have it, and she was, you know, she was being a strong, independent lady, and it was a great scene. I'm so glad that she is using her power. We're getting all of the training montages and scenes, and she's getting much better at her powers, so I do really love that. And so after Lucien leaves, and Reason was there to back her up, but Feyre was really the one to stand up for herself. And then they're going to this hotel, motel, essentially cabin thing to stay until they're going somewhere else. Something to prep for the war. I can't remember at this moment. But then they have a spicy scene. Finally, they have a spicy scene, and it was great. And Love to see it. Love to see it. Here's where I'm at right now. And after the spicy scene, they go to bed and they wake up, and now they're flying again to wherever they're going to do war prep stuff. And they get attacked, and Reason is so hurt, and he gets attacked and shot with a bunch of arrows, and he's so hurt. But she uses her powers and she finds him. Woo woo woo. Yes, Feyre, you are so strong and you got your man back, and now she's winnowed them into this cave and she's taking out all of the arrows, and he's super hurt, and I don't know. And I assume that something else is gonna, like, more people, bad people are gonna show up and they're gonna have to fight more, or she's gonna have to figure out how to winnow farther away to maybe Valaris, or maybe they're gonna get captured and she needs to get messages out to Moore and Cassian and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. This is how far I have left. I'm on page 489, chapter 50. Okay, backtracking a little bit. So when Rhys got shot and attacked, and she brings him into the cave to like help him, she, goes to the Suriel, I think that's what it's called, and finds out that Rhys is her mate. And I did not see that coming. I thought at one point Rhys would tell her, or that she would have figured it out on her own. But I did not see that being spoiled for her. And she was upset about it. And I understand. I think when you feel like someone kept something from you, but she ends up going to the House of Mist. And so this is how far I was. Oh, is it going to show? Yeah. The last time we talked, and she took the few days to kind of get her thoughts together, and I really appreciated that. Like, she took the time that she needed for herself to kind of figure out her feelings with it, and came to accept and understood why Rhys didn't tell her that they were mates, which I think was so thoughtful or good on Rhys's part, because yeah, like, if you just tell someone that you're mates, like, and that you're soulmates and that you're supposed to be together, and that person, Feyre just got out of her relationship essentially with Tamlin, so like that wouldn't have been a great start. So like I think it was so like good for him to have kept that and let her gain feelings herself, and she came to realize that. And I think her spending those few days in the House of Mist and kind of collecting her feelings and understanding both sides of it was really important. I really liked that. Like, she handled that in a very mature way. And then the next chapter is essentially Reason coming to the House of Mist and confessing all of his feelings, which I loved. I loved hearing his perspective since they met at the fire festival in the first book, and how he felt all throughout them being under the mountain. And I totally called it. He saw that they were mates and soulmates at the end of the first book, when he kind of like looked at her and kind of felt like he saw something and then just vanished. And I knew that was important, and I'm so glad that I saw that and predicted that. But yeah, it was. I'm glad that that whole scene happened, and then the spicy scene happened. So they are finally together. After all of that, they then have to go back to our main plot point of them trying to prevent the war from happening, preventing Hybern from like blowing up the wall that protects the mortals from the fairylands. And it's not a bad plot line, but I guess I just don't really care about it very much. Like, I care about the relationship and I like the fantastical world, but I just don't care about this war. But And the queens that hold this book that they need are just bitches. I hate them. They suck. And that whole scene was like frustrating to watch. And, that passes by and they get back to Valaris and Valaris gets attacked. And oh my God, that scene was so stressful. I was sitting there like, just like, ugh. And I just, who knew? I thought it was going to be more than that, which, I mean, still a lot of innocent people died. And that queen that gave them the book against the other queen's wishes, and she kind of went behind the other queen's back. That was helpful. I mean, I guess not really helpful because obviously in the end it doesn't work out, but she gets killed at Valaris. And the way they were describing her at first, I thought it was going to be more who died, and I was like freaking out because I love Moore and I love Azrael and I want them together so bad. I've heard that the new book, like the sixth book that's coming out in the series, hopefully one day when Sarah J. Maas is ready to release it, I heard that it might be about Azrael and his story, which I hope so, and I hope that him and Moore get together. Anyways, back to what I was saying is, yeah, Valaris was getting attacked, and oh my God, that was so stressful. And I like that all of them were like beyond furious, and they were like, let's get our shit together so we can go kick their asses. And obviously that didn't work out because, oh my God, they went to Highburn and like chaos ensued. And I think that like the first half of this book, like this half was like a 3 star, if not even like a little bit lower. And then this half, maybe even like more than that, was like 4, 5 stars. Like, loved this. And then like all of this action happened within like this last little bit. I'm like, why? I really did feel like this book was too long. Like the slow burn was way too slow. Like overall, like this book just didn't need to be this long. But like the last little bit of them being at the Hybern Castle and Azrael getting shot with the arrow, oh my God. I was like, no, no, no. Like I was stressed out reading this last part. And the fact that he was shot and then Cassian's wings got burned and Nesta and Elaine got converted or transformed into fairies because they got thrown in the cauldron. I did not see that coming. I did get a little spoiled that Nesta was going to be a fairy, but I thought Elaine was going to die. I thought she was going to die and Nesta was going to live, but they both lived. And oh my God, the fact that Elaine is Lucian's mate, I hate that. I hate that. I hate that Lucian is like, I liked him so much as a character, and he just can't do anything for himself. Like he has all of these opinions and feelings, but then just doesn't say anything. He just goes along with what Tamlin wants, and like I just hate that. Like, come on, Lucian. Like, so I guess we're gonna be seeing more of him because now him and Elaine are mates. And I totally think Cassian and Nesta are mates. Like that's pretty obvious. Like from the moment that they met, they clearly like Cassian took a liking to Nesta, and like every 2 seconds something that happens to Nesta, and like Feyre's commenting on how Cassian just, even though his wings were burned, he like wanted to like get closer to Nesta. So that was clear, like they're clearly gonna be together. The fact that they were pretty much out of options, like I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do to get out of this situation. Like they're all gonna die, like they're all toast. And Feyre decides to pretty much put on this act that she has been hypnotized essentially by Rhysand, and she doesn't want to be with him, and she wants to be with Tamlin. And essentially she does this to pretty much figure out that was her only way out. Like if she went with Tamlin and faked that she wanted to go with Tamlin, she was able to have her power overpower the Highburn spell, and that way Rhysand can get her sisters out. And I get why she did it. And at first I was like, I was gonna cry if not actually, but like I was gonna cry if their mating bond disappeared because of the spell that the Highburn King did, and they acted as if it did, but then the next chapter, we can tell that she becomes the High Lady of the Night Court, and she's pretty much now, she went back with Tamlin, everyone was able, Rhys took the two sisters, and everyone went away. And so essentially now Feyre is a spy within the Spring Court, but my only thing with that is now I bet you like half of this freaking next book is her gonna be in the Spring Court with Tamlin, and we're gonna have this 300-page book of her spying on Tamlin for them to finally be back together, or I at least hope not. But I guess I'll let you know I gave this 4 stars, and it didn't get a 5 because obviously that first half was not as good. But, and I think I'm gonna definitely take a couple weeks break before I start the third one. Um, I've been reading this for like the past month, not because it's like a hard book or anything, but I've gotten busy. It's just taken longer than expected. At some points, I just wasn't interested in picking it up. I was reading other things. Sometimes I just didn't really want to film this video, so I didn't want to read too much without filming. So, like, I'm still finding the balance, but I'm happy to be over with this book, and I'm excited to move on, and I'm still excited about the story, but I am a little, worried about what's going to happen next, but I'm definitely glad to finish this, and I'm glad to get this video out to you. So if there's anything that I didn't do within this reading vlog, or mention anything or react to anything that you wanted me to, let me know down below, and I'm hopefully getting better at these reading vlogs and sharing my opinions on kind of everything that goes on. So let me know what I can do better in the future, and I guess I'll see you next time.